guys. I am Adam. It was really not too long ago that we had a, what's it called? We had a, what's I'm looking for here? A hot day. Yet here we are. It is 19 degrees. And freezing. We had a warm day on Saturday. Saturday was fucking beautiful. It was like almost 70 at points. And then the next day we had a snowstorm that they vastly underestimated how much snow was actually going to be. He said it'll be it won't be that bad. It'll be at most an inch, and it'll be done by noon. And there I was for the second straight year during halftime of the Super Bowl, cleaning the dirt off the snow off my car and unshoveling myself because it's not the weathermen's fault that they gave that that kind of a misdiagnosis. It's their fault that they misdiagnosed, I guess, but it's not their fault that the snow came. It reminds me of that episode of Fairly Odd Parents where it's the mom becomes the weatherman, and it's everything she predicts comes true, no matter how fucked up it is, and it changes the weather, because it's the weathermen before that kept getting run out of town for being wrong, so it's kind of like that, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. We are here to talk about Steven Soderbergh's latest movie, which came out on the HBO Max this past weekend, Kimi. And this is a tight movie, and I mean tight in terms of the fact that it's an hour and a half. Doesn't feel like an hour and a half. And it all gets, it's all nice, self-contained. There's, that you can't trim this movie any. You cannot trim, there's no fat to trim from this movie to make the plot more cohesive or make, anything else feel it is, perfectly done in that regard. It's about this girl who is a victim of sexual assault, and she she works from home after. It's a post-COVID world, but COVID's still around, so she still wears a mask and is afraid to go outside and all of that. So I think that's the one problem with a story that's as tight as this one is. It's that when you tell this kind of story, and you're telling a story, the fact that she was sexually assaulted is barely addressed because it's not important to the overriding story about the people trying to kill her because she found out about a murder during her job. But that's not we're not up to that part yet. So she was sexually assaulted in the past, and then because of COVID and because of protests and all of this other stuff, she is inside all the time. She's just kind of living in her house, her apartment. Very, very, very nice and very seemingly expensive apartment. In what's the word I'm looking for here? In Seattle. So she her job is like Amazon. And the thing is too, it's the movie opens with kind of an explanation for what's going to happen. It's kind of I had a similar problem with Malignant, where in Malignant, the movie opens up with the reveal that, yes, Gabriel is in fact a real person. Yes, Gabriel can affect electricity and all of that. All that is introduced in the opening minutes of the movie, and then we, the audience, then know from then on, well, we know Gabriel's a real person because we saw Gabriel being operated on, and we don't know what Gabriel is, but he looks vaguely alien. I guess that's the misdirect they're going for, but it does kind of feel forced. Now, this one doesn't go in a misdirect, but the movie opens with us seeing the guy, the guy at not Amazon paying the killers to get rid of this woman who he raped. And it's like, well, we know that he's the guy. And it's like, rather than having that unfold throughout the movie, it's kind of just on Front Street, right out of the gate, and you know it within the first 5 minutes. And I'm not a big fan of that. Again, I go back to that episode of Frasier where they find the skull under the beach house that they said as a kid, and they assume it's a real skull, Niles and Frasier, and they go through all of these scenarios for how the housekeeper or the building owner could have killed his wife and hid her under the floorboards and called the police, and then they find a playbill from when they were kids that they made because they were putting on a presentation of Hamlet, and that's revealed in the beginning of the episode. Well, the beginning of the episode reveals that, oh, they're putting on a presentation of Hamlet, and that kind of sinks the entire episode. Not sinks it, but it does for me kind of ruin that ending. Like, that ending would have been funnier if it's like, oh wait, didn't we put on a production of Hamlet that year? And it's like, oh yeah, and then move on from there. I think that would have been a better way, and I think that this movie has a similar problem where it's like, it kind of ruins the ending, putting that on right in the beginning. And that thing right in the beginning feels like it could have been a tack on after a test screening. And I don't want to say that's what happened, but it feels like the way it's shot and the way it's edited, it feels like that. So yeah, I understand it, but not entirely for it. So Angela, who's played by Zoe Kravitz, she's the lead of the movie. Her job is that she, she listens to things he will say to their Kimi, which is like Alexa, and listens for things that will, like errors, and see why Kimi isn't responding. So, like, apparently people can report issues with Kimi's responses, and then when they, when they respond, like, she will go in and listen to what happened, and then they will adjust the software to accommodate that. And that's her job. She goes in, she does that, and that's all fun and games. So it's like she hears someone talk about, kitchen paper, ordering kitchen paper, and Kimi doesn't understand that because, that's slang elsewhere in the country for paper towels. Then there's someone who's making a dick joke to it, and she has to know that's what it is. There was one where it was, I forgot the third one was, they used an example of what her job is. And then we get to the meat and potatoes of the show, which is she hears a murder, or what sounds like a murder or a graphic rape, on a call. And I think that this is part of the problem I have with the movie, is that she makes a really big point about, hey, wait a minute, she never activated Kimi. She never made whatever there's a word for like the voice command that turns Kimi on. It's like, oh, she never made that voice command to turn Kimi on. So how did she do that? And I think that's part of the problem here. Like they make a really big deal about that to the point where it's like, well, one audio clip that they explore later in the movie of her creating a voice command that's like a code to turn Kimi on would have explained that. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's a minor gripe. It's like, don't spend 2 minutes being like, how could she have done that? How could Kimi have picked that up if it's not going to be answered? Because then you're just pointing at your own plot hole and it's an easily fillable plot hole. It's not a difficult to rectify situation. So she does that, and she finds out. She isolates out the audio of the woman in the background because it's like under music. So she sits there, she isolates it out, and then sends it to her boss. And it's like, look, we have to report this. This is a graphic rape that was caught on audio from one of the Kimis. And he said, no, I don't want to do that. So then she starts trying to, get this done. Eventually ending up going to, I forgot the woman's job and the woman's name, but this other woman who works there, she has to go down to the headquarters in Seattle and talk to her and be like, hey, look, I know this is happening. We need, I have proof this happened. We need to report this. And it turns out the woman was working with the guy who actually committed the rape. So they call the killers, and the killers come and chase her down. And that's the rest of the movie is from then on. It's her trying to avoid these hitmen who are trying to kill her, so she doesn't reveal that he committed a rape. And I think that the ending is where the movie really loses me, because it's like, oh, it feels kind of weird. Number one, it feels kind of weird that the guy who was accused 3 months ago of what's it called? What's the one for? Of beating his girlfriend is in a movie like this. It does feel a little strange to me. The guy played Buzz in Toy Story. Not Toy Story. The guy played Buzz in Home Alone. It feels a little weird to me. It does. It feels like, and then on top of that, for him to be in this role where we sympathize with him and all of that, and we don't really know him too well. And then the ending kind of feels like the ending of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where it's like she gets the upper hand using Kimi against them. And then what's it called? And then killing them with a nail gun. It feels like it feels a little weird. That's how they decided to wrap off the movie and be like, okay, this is how we're going to end it after everything that happened so far. Is that she's gonna kill 3 people with a nail gun? And it's like, look, I get it. I understand it. But the ending had kind of a Tarantino-esque, look at it. I don't know. I feel that's an odd situation. I think that, the movie's great. The movie is fantastic. It's definitely worth seeing. The movie is, beautifully directed. I think it's one of, there are a lot of tracking shots. There's a lot of, one takes and things like that. I'm really a fan of that. Always have been, probably always will be. That's something that, for me is a big thing in the movie. Steven Soderbergh does a great job with that. And I think Zoe Kravitz is a really good performance in this, and she really is the only one who has a performance worth, mentioning. As the, I don't want to say damaged. Damaged feels wrong, but she had bad things happen to her. Traumatized, I guess would be the word I would use. She's the traumatized technician at the not Amazon who leads the movie. I mean, she's great in the role. Just being perpetually awkward and just constantly anxious, and it works very well. And I think that with a lesser actress, that would have not worked, even within the confines of the movie, and she makes it work. So yeah, it's on HBO Max. You don't have to go to a theater. You can watch it right on HBO Max, and it's definitely worth a watch. Definitely worth the watch. So yeah, think that's it for today. Later this week we have Uncharted, the latest movie from it's the latest video game movie. Sony puts this out, and it's with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. It is based on the hit video game that I have not played, so we'll see how well this works for someone who has not played the game, which, again, if you're trying to make a video game into a movie, you gotta win people who haven't played the game, too. So let's see how well that works out for them. Also, we have the season finale of Peacemaker this week, so that'll be cool. And that will be Thursday, so that'll happen Friday. Yeah, I think that's it. What else have I got? No, I think that's really it. So until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.